Now remember, Zamasu knows best, right? Hey folks, MasakoX here. With this particular story, we tried to portray the likes of this Kai in a different light, to make us feel less vitriolic towards him. Just because Zamasu's journey within Dragon Ball was quite short, as well as quite focused and a bit too metaphysical for a kids show on his brand of the right thing, we need to realise something here. His descent into mania could have been avoided if a certain strain of dino people were able to show some spark of evolution when they were displayed to our green Kai friend. So, today, we wish to conclude what might have happened if Zamasu decided to do nothing wrong, and instead of getting angry about mortals, he chose to do something about it instead of whinging for eternity. This story has been a notable favourite of Haverock and myself as it's developed. Instead of Zamasu getting mad at these creatures, he chose to implement his ideals directly, and what he got was something rather special. These dino peeps turned out to be quite extraordinary if they were given a push in the right direction. Of course, Zamasu wasn't being selfless or anything like that, no. But this method of going about things was far more constructive than before. I mean, he even got himself made into a symbol as the Creator, with his most loyal disciple Dekraf leading the way in his absence. It even got, as you may remember, Zamasu the chance to prove himself and Rumshi wrong, and got his pupil established as the elephant's successor. But is it going to be that easy though? In the last part, Zamasu's initial plan to aid Dekraf's return to youthful vigour, as well as his further interference with mortal affairs, led to him getting accosted by his own teacher Goasu, concerned for the young being. But it took the young Kai everything he had to not strike this old fool down for getting in his way. The old Zamasu would have done just that, but this one showed restraint and then relented. However, the same act still happened to the elder, but who done it? Was unbeknownst to our Kai. What had happened? We shall see now how this adventure ends. Zamasu's mind was racing. He had no idea what happened here. He had no clue as to who had slain his master. He recalled their last meeting just the other night, remembering how worried he was about his student's attachment to Barbary and its mortals. At the time, he thought that his mentor was worrying over nothing, just caring a little too much. In fact, maybe even getting in his way. But he ultimately didn't wish any ill upon him like this, but here he was, fallen. Now he was no more, with a gaping hole in his chest. But he oddly seemed to be peaceful in the oddest of interpretations. Like he was just asleep, taking a nap, before he would sup his favourite tea that Zamasu had prepared. Like the attack hadn't happened, not bothered him at all. The Kai didn't know what to think. This kind of thing rarely happens in their world, somebody dying, and especially in this heinous and hideous way. Zamasu's thoughts, however, were orbiting around a grim conclusion. Was this all his fault? Or even worse to think, was Dekraf responsible for all this? Had his pupil done this to help his master? Or had he even gone rogue and chose to do this himself? It was hopeless to pin down one specific reason right now. When he was laying out his plan to his Barbary protege, he might have sounded like he was trying to usurp it. Yes, maybe he even believed in that course of action for a brief moment of time, but he never truly wanted Goasu to... What had he done? He moved the body to the bed, so his mentor wouldn't be resting on the floor, so undignified-like. But one thing was clear though. What he needed to do now was to talk to Dekraf. With the power of the instantaneous movement technique, he was able to get to Rumshi's planet relatively quickly. It was silent. Not a sound could be heard. Not even Rumshi, typically blustering about in some trivial manner. And Zamasu knew why this was the case. He didn't understand why he even had to ask himself that question. It was clear. Kusu had become inactive, and the elephant god himself would have been dead, since his life, as you know, is linked to the Kai, Goasu, which left only Master Zamasu. He heard a deep but worried voice of Dekraf behind his back. Dekraf! He eyed his lizard companion, trying to not look too paranoid, acting like he had no inkling or suspicion towards him. But Dekraf didn't look too happy either to see his master, like he usually would. "Master, is this all you're doing?" Dekraf was pretty direct and looked rather stern. And this got under the Kai's skin. Zamasu could feel what seemed like a warm wave of anger starting to rise up inside of his body. "How can I be sure that this isn't your doing, Dekraf?" But the pupil didn't allow himself to become intimidated. All he did was relax a smidge, appear just a little bit meeker. "I found Rumshi today, dead in his chair. Kusu was nowhere to be seen, master." Zamasu looked right in his purple eyes. "Right. And I found Master Goasu lying dead on the floor in his quarters with a huge hole in his chest." Dekraf pondered for a while. "Then, I suppose the killing has to have happened on your end." "Of course it did, you foolish reptile!" Zamasu looked rather irritated. He didn't know if Dekraf was playing games with him, or was maybe trying to make fun of the situation. He wouldn't put that past him, though. Dekraf could be very slippery when he wanted to be. But the dino person sighed loudly. "No, you misunderstand me, master. If it happened on your side, then I had no way of doing it. I don't know instantaneous movement, remember? I have no way of moving around the universe so fast." Zamasu paused. There was logic in what he said. He was right. Dekraf couldn't have done that. Not without help, of course. And Kusu wouldn't aid him with this either. I mean, sure, she had been certainly excited to see Dekraf rising up the ranks because the new GOD was on their way, but she had patience. It was one of her virtues. She could wait. He also doubted that other barbarians would be able to surprise Goasu. Dekraf was by far their strongest being. He felt like an idiot, though, but realized how overly reliant he had become with teleportation. It becomes so obvious to him, in fact, that he forgot that other divine beings who weren't Supreme Kais or Kais in training couldn't do it. "You're right, Dekraf. Forgive me. I'm just shaken." The barbarian nodded his head. "So if it's neither of us who did it, who could it have been?" Zamasu started to ponder this himself. There weren't exactly that many options to ponder, though. Other universal agents? Was that pesky Universe 9 again? Why would they be interested in harming Universe 10? A demon, perhaps? Zamasu hadn't heard anything, though, about Master Goasu having any grievances or being at odds with any demonic entities lately, or at all. He then decided to examine the scene of the crime at Rumshi's place, or lack thereof. The elephant god was sitting in his favourite chair, his eyes closed, with his right hand lying on his stomach. It was probably on his heart the moment he had died, but it had slid down in the meantime. Not much to see here, clearly. It certainly looked less gruesome than the situation with his master. Then, he took Dekraf with him to show Goasu's body. He explained the previous position he was found in, and what had happened going on. Everything was laid bare to the dino person. Zamasu also explained that he wanted to bring the old Kai his favourite tea during his usual breakfast time. That's how he found him. Dekraf examined the wound. "I've seen many stab wounds in my lifetime. I think with a keyblade. The one that you and I..." "Dekraf, you are not helping! I told you that it wasn't..."
"And I believe that, Master. I'm telling you what are the facts. We are not the only ones that are capable of doing this."
Proving his point, Dekraf materialized a keyblade and left a hole in a nearby pillow, similar in shape and size to Goasu's wound. Zamasu blinked. You think Goasu might not have been alerted to the assailant's presence? That this was a surprise attack? The only person he could have expected was you, right?" Zamasu looked at Goasu for a while. "And he might have assumed the assassin for me. If this person could produce my keyblade, he could also maybe mimic my appearance. But why?" Dekraf did not have an answer to that.
"What do we do now, Master? Is there a procedure for this sort of thing?"
Zamasu looked around. I really don't know. I'm still the candidate, but somehow something's not right. I should be promoted by now to the Supreme Kai role, but I think we need Kusu for that. And she's inactive, whatever that means."
"What would a person get from having both the God of Destruction and Supreme Kai out of the picture?"
Zamasu thought about that for a moment. "An unprotected and unsupervised universe. We should see how the universe is doing." He tried to focus on its life force, to reach out towards the planets. He still hadn't fully mastered this technique yet, as he was not able to feel out life forms specifically around the whole universe as skillfully as his master could, but he was able to do enough to connect to a world close to his heart. To their heart. He gasped though.
Dekraf, we have to go! What happened, Master? You're concerning me.
The lizard almost jumped.
Barbary is in danger! We must go!
As soon as they got to the planet, the two of them found only ash. The beautiful cities of Barbary were now in ruins and flames. It had been completely destroyed. Now, a husk of a world. Zamasu could see how this broke Dekraf's heart, and to be frank, his own heart as well. Who could have? Dekraf was at a loss for words. Zamasu hadn't seen him like that in a very long time. And then he saw the culprit, standing in the ruins of the city before them. Son Goku.
Son Goku, why? What does Universe 7 want from...
The creature looked at him, smiling. It was unlike that irritating goopball from Universe 7 that he'd met before. This didn't seem right. Had he a twin or something? He was wearing black robes, and there was something more behind the Saiyan's face, something different, eerily familiar.
You surprised us. We thought you two were gonna blame each other. And to be frank, I hoped that you would have gotten rid of that lizard, but here we are.
Zamasu was shocked to hear his own voice speaking through these different vocal cords. He noticed a second being. It was like looking in the mirror.
Who are you? Show your true faces! Why are you doing this? This is unacceptable!
His evil twin laughed, as did the one looking like Son Goku. This is my true face. I am you, and he is you. Just doing a little experiment with a Saiyan body. Look deep within yourself, and you will realize that we are both you. We are from a different timeline, a better one. Dekraf looked completely blown away by this, and Zamasu realized they weren't lying. Those two, they were, but why? We felt an unusual activity of the time ring in this dimension, and so we decided to investigate, thinking that you two were hatching a very clever plan of your own to fulfill our destiny. But it turns out that you are the black sheep of the family. Destiny? Black grinned menacingly and started talking.
You seriously went ahead and helped those savages become civilized? Did you really think that that was possible on their own? How much of that did they really achieve under their own guidance? Without you, they would be a waste of space, like all mortals. We have seen it. So, we decided to start off our mission here by culling your pets, to teach you a lesson. The only way is our way.
But Black wasn't smiling for long, as Dekraf had powered up and sent him flying through a nearby ruined building. The evil Zamasu scoffed at our Kai. Please, don't tell me you are going to take the lizard's side. You can still join us, you know. It's not too late. Together, we could create a perfect universe. One without mortals, without savagery, without imperfection.
You two are crazy! I once thought about that vision, sure, but I had long deemed it preposterous. What is a universe without mortals? What is a god without followers? What madness is this?
And with that, our Zamasu started his insane blade duel with his evil counterpart. Meanwhile, Dekraf started fighting Black. He quickly went Super Saiyan Rose in order to overpower his enemy, but Dekraf, he'd been training for long enough to be able to hold up against that, which angered Black greatly. He launched a massive Kamehameha at Dekraf, which made good Zamasu have to step in and help his friend with deflecting the attack. In the meantime, evil Zamasu cut his face with the Keyblade. At least it would be easier for Dekraf to tell them apart, but Black then decided to go all out with his special scythe against Dekraf. But the barbarian remembered Kusu's training and dodged the attack. Then he decided to go for it. He started to focus destruction energy around his body. He was able to do this one time successfully, but only in the presence of actual energy. Now everything relied on him being able to do this without a hitch. Dekraf didn't want to fail Zamasu, or his people, or reality. He closed his eyes and started to grow, now towering over his opponent. Now what he needed was just one firm grasp over Black's neck. The Saiyan-disguised Kai attempted to slice him with the scythe, but Dekraf was able to catch him.
Don't touch me, you dirty lizard!
Silence!
He hadn't truly mastered it. He wasn't at full pelt, but it didn't matter. The amount of destruction energy that he had right now was able to tear a screaming Black into pieces. Black was no more. The evil Zamasu seemed mildly irritated by this, and our Zamasu took this opportunity to stab him through the heart. But the enemy just laughed at him and shot him back with a powerful ki blast. Our Zamasu was shocked. How could he survive that? It's a shame that your pet took Black, but that won't work on me. I am immortal, you simpletons, and I will wear you two down in the fullness of time. Then I will use your world to create my own power. A punch from Deckcraft sent him flying through the air. Oh, I've wanted to do that for quite some time. No offense, Master. Zamasu eyed Deckcraft. It was clear that he would not be able to keep the destroyer form for long. You need to get help, Master. I can hold him off for a while. But Kai, remember? Yeah. And Zamasu reluctantly teleported out. Evil Zamasu was, however, pretty furious with Deckcraft, starting to attack him with far greater intensity. And while initially Deckcraft had the upper hand, his destroyer transformation couldn't last for much longer, and when he sadly turned back into his regular form, he got stabbed repeatedly by Zamasu in a fit of pure catharsis on the latter's part. It makes me sick that a version of me entrusted anything to something so repulsive. I will tear you apart, limb from limb, said Zamasu, lifting Deckcraft by the head, ready to start slicing him. Then, unexpectedly, his hand froze, making Zamasu realize that he wasn't going anywhere. His facial expression changed from triumph to panic as he saw the other Zamasu accompanied by the GP himself. But he will punish you as well for helping them this! The GP gave evil Zamasu a neutral yet somehow stern look, and then he smiled. The evil Zamasu looked at his hand. It had become translucent, and before he was able to deal a final blow to Deckcraft, to anyone, he vanished. Zamasu quickly approached Deckcraft to heal his wounds, and then he knelt deeply at the GP's feet. I don't usually intervene myself, but since Kusu had become inactive, and there is no supervision over Universe 10, I could make an exception. Also, you violating rules established by the great Zeno himself in year 43 of the Divine Calendar was indeed enough chutzpah for me stepping in. Zamasu uttered just a few words. Thank you, Your Grace. This place seemed like a beautiful world at one time, before now. A very special world, Your Grace. But there are other worlds that deserve to be protected, you know. And since your master is no longer around, we need to get that honor to you. Kusu will have to work on our new God of Destruction candidate. Zamasu said nothing. What's the matter? Is this not what you wanted? The GP looked at Zamasu. I don't think we're ready yet. The GP looked mildly curious. Interesting. Yet you thought you were ready to rule over this planet. He looked at the statues of Zamasu currently crumbling. That wasn't what I... But you did. You left your mark. And you played favorites. Something that we supreme divine beings shouldn't be doing. Deckcraft finally uttered a word. Your Grace, I think Master Zamasu has helped us greatly, but what we've achieved, what we've reached was our own hard work. We just needed a little direction. The GP smiled at Deckcraft. So, what are we going to do with you two? Zamasu looked into the GP's eyes. You can punish me, Your Grace, but Deckcraft was only trying to help his people. This planet, it should live again, as should Master Goasu and Lord Rumshi. The GP walked towards Zamasu. You are asking for a lot, Kai, and what you ask is against the balance of things. As we have seen today, there are timelines where you are not very fond of this balance. How can I be sure that you are not the same? But regardless, I am not here to punish you for what you could do. I am asking, what can you offer in return? The only thing I have, Your Grace. My life. Deckcraft looked alert. Master! Are you sure? Yes. This is all I have, Your Grace. The GP nodded. All right, then. Master, you cannot do this! You've already done so much for us! Zamasu smiled sadly at Deckcraft. Not enough, it seems. Not yet. Thank you, Deckcraft, for everything. It's been the greatest adventure of my life. Deckcraft felt his eyes drowning with tears as he saw his master walk away from him. Master, The GP took Zamasu's hand, the former nodding and saying something that Dekraf couldn't quite hear. And then, in a flash of purple light, the Kai disappeared, leaving him and the barbarian across the populated square of his homeworld. It was as if nothing had happened. Stores were open, the city bustling, the barbarians talking casually, as if it was just a regular day.
Is Master gone?
The GP looked at Dekraf curiously. Yes and no. What about you? What do you wish to do? Dekraf pondered for a while.
If it's not a problem, Your Grace, I'd like to finish my training with Kusu and Lord Rumshi, as intended. I want to serve Universe 10 the best I can.
The GP smiled. I was hoping you would say that. Come on, I can give you a lift. They teleported to Goasu's place, where Kusu was trying to calm down a rather agitated Rumshi and the older Kai. When they saw Dekraf and the GP, both of them fell to their knees. The GP explained what had occurred, much to Dekraf's surprise. He was sure to mention that they owe their lives to Zamasu's sacrifice. The GP was bigging them up, and that he is leaving Dekraf here in their capable hands. Rumshi looked at the barbarian, and all his anger and steam seemed to just wash away. I guess we started off on the wrong foot, barbarian. Or should I say, Dekraf. Are you ready to start over? Maybe. Maybe you really are a worthy replacement.
It will be my honor, Lord Rumshi, but only when you are ready.
And for the first time, the god of destruction gave him an honest smile of relief. Meanwhile, the GP was readying himself to leave when he was approached by Goasu.
Pardon me, Your Grace. Is Zamasu truly gone?
The father of all angels looked at Goasu, smiling. If I wanted to tell you something obvious, I would tell you that no one is truly gone, so long as you remember them. But in Zamasu's case, Universe 10 isn't exactly done with him yet. And as such, he nodded at Dekraf, Rumshi and Kusu, and was gone. The four of them would have to work together now to ensure the bright future for Universe 10, especially with the Tournament of Power coming up, would not be extinguished. And meanwhile, though, in another time, another place, in a poor Barbari village torn by religious wars, a child was born. It was originally pretty weak, not as well built as other barbarians, but his mother claimed he was special. Not only did he have those beautiful purple eyes, but she loved to describe that when he had hatched, it was accompanied by a flash of purple light. She thought that that was a sign from the Creator, and even though, when he grew up, he didn't wish to believe in the Creator, Dekraf's mother always told him that the Creator believed in him. And as for time, well, time is just a flat circle. I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later.